2 hours early because of the economic outlook that I know a few of our members are going to be attending. So I want to thank everybody for accommodating with their schedule. It is 9:02 and a half, so I think we should go ahead and get started. I think we've got a fairly light agenda this morning, so we should be able to get everybody out of here pretty quickly. But I guess I'd ask by starting with the Pledge of Allegiance, and if everybody would just mute and allow, we'll use the room volume in the boardroom to say the pledge.
Okay.
Will you lead us, Tom?
Will do. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everybody. Remember, Sylvette's going to call a roll. Do remember to unmute yourself to say you're here. Sylvette, you can take it away.
Thank you, sir. Paul Anthony, Robert Brooks, Frank Facciano, Don Godshaw,
Here.
Justin Grimshaw,
Present.
John Hayes,
Here.
Ron Heckman, Larry Hemberger, James Irwin, Jeff
Here.
Matskin, Glenn Riedman,
Present.
Mike Stershik,
Here.
Matt Turk,
Here.
Chris Worley,
Here.
Tara Zrinski.
We do have a quorum, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Tom, do you want to announce the award that we're receiving?
Actually, happy to do that, Mr. Chair. We have 2 awards to hand out today for off-going members of the Board of Governors. So let's see, we'll go in alphabetical order, and we'll start with Mr. Brian Daines. Take a little picture here. Thank you for your service. Appreciate all your contributions to the authority.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Anything you'd like to say? Or
Maybe just for a minute. I appreciate,
we can hold that for you?
thank you. I appreciate being able to be here for the last 5 years. It's been a pleasure working, Tom, with you and all your directors, all your staff. I appreciate their willingness to answer all my questions and to interact with them, even when we're not in meetings. With Sylvette, I really appreciate you and all the rest of the board. I just want to, if I could offer any short thing to the rest of the board, I would say just 2 quick things. One, we have 3 airports, not one, and all 3 of those airports serve different needs. I'm reminded of a flight I saw the other day where a small white cooler flew into a city, not unlike Queen City. It wasn't Queen City, but it was like that. And in this small white cooler was an organ transplant being flown into a hospital. And then just the other day, about 2 weeks ago, I was flying at Braden, and I heard a young lady with her instructor doing training. And I'm reminded of opportunities I've had when I was a flight instructor to see young women or young men like her get out of the airplane when they just got done with a solo flight because they were pursuing a career in flying and they were so excited to solo. So I would just say that it's a privilege to be with aviation. Aviation connects people, families, customers, businesses, people with their dreams, and this board and this staff has the opportunity to do that for this community, and I think it's a great privilege. And I'm glad to have had a chance to do it with you. And if I can ever be of any help, you know, Colin, Steve, if you ever want to call me to help with one of your drills or whatever, I'm still around and I'm happy to help.
Thank you.
Brian, thank you so much for your years of service, and particularly, you were incredibly helpful for all of us, asking insightful questions with a level of informed questions is what I want to say. You'll be missed, and anytime you have any thoughts, please just reach out and let us know.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Mayor. I appreciate it.
Okay. Thank you, Brian. Our next presentation is for J. Michael Dowd, as we know as Mike. So, Mike. Congratulations. All right. So, Mike, a little bit more than 5 years of service.
Yeah, a few more. I should say thank you to Glenn Freeman, because Glenn was Northampton County Executive when he asked me if I would serve on the Airport Authority. I didn't know what I was getting into, but you've given me quite a few years, I think, great experiences working with remarkable people and seeing some incredible changes. When I first came here,
I was like, oh, everybody's here early, what the hell?
but I think about those changes. We thought the biggest deal we were going through at that time was the purchase of Braden Airport. And I look at the challenges and the changes that have gone on in this authority, and it's been absolutely remarkable. I think the change that Todd has brought to us and making us much more fiscally responsible than we ever were. We've got a board which is today much more active than the first board I participated in. In fact, Glenn would tell you it was a nice dinner, and you'd be here about 45 minutes and you go home. That has not been the case, but that's good, because it really reflects the fact that this authority is doing some very, very important things in our community. And it's always been a pleasure for me to be here to meet with you and have some remarkable friendships. And Tom, you brought a remarkable change to the authority. I really appreciate the opportunity to work with you. Thank you,
Mike. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Mike. And if I could just say a quick word on Mike. Mike was early on somebody who helped all of us understand the proper way to conduct a meeting. You'll be your guidance and your senior leadership is much appreciated, and I'll miss that in particular. Thanks, Mike.
Thank you very much, Matt. I appreciate all your kind words and all the work you're doing right now. Thank you.
Okay, so that, do we have any public comment for today?
We do not, sir.
Okay. I would then ask for an approval of our minutes of November 30th, 2021. They are in Novus. I hope you had a chance to review them. Take a motion to approve.
I'll move.
Second.
Okay, all in favor of approving the minutes of November 30th, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, the minutes passed. Thanks. That moves us over to our treasurer's report. Just want to have a heads up. Tara's having some problem with volume. I'm not sure if that's Tara's phone or if that's from the audio feed. Anybody else having volume problems? No? All right, Tara, you might want to disconnect and reconnect. I will hand it over to Frank, excuse me, to Todd for our treasurer's report.
Good morning, everyone. I'll go to the treasurer's report. I'll try to do my best Frank impersonation. It's a little hard to do, but hey, tough shoes to fill. Always start out with the traffic. We ended the year with 752K, a significant increase over last year, almost double. But the key thing to keep in mind here is that we were 9% above 2017, which is kind of what we use as our benchmark for our budgeting. The other thing is we were down 18% versus 2019, which is our last kind of pre-COVID year. And industry-wide, and I mentioned this in our finance committee, you're seeing about a 33% for most airports. So we're doing better than other airports. A lot of that is our mix of traffic, but again, that's kind of the work of the board and the staff and everyone else that we're in that position. Month of December, we had a good month. Again, if you remember, we did that August budget amendment where we added a lot of positions to kind of give us a running start going into 2022, obviously, the positions are there. Talked about a budget of integrity on numerous occasions, but obviously we have not filled them, and revenue has been a little bit better. So we predicted a significant loss in December, and we actually ended up on a positive 456K. And a lot of that driven by, parking and aviation services and continued management of those expenses, because again, we kind of assumed a more of a ramp up as we run into 2022. Year to date, again, it's always good to reflect. If you remember our first budget, we did 3 in 2021. Our original budget had a net income of, wait for it, $68,000. And the way the first quarter went, we weren't sure if we were going to even make that $68,000. So with our amendments and some of the things we talked about, we ended up on the positive at this point of 5.6 versus our last budget of 2.4. So again, all the things I talked about, revenue up and expenses down, that's kind of worked to a positive thing for us. Talk about our profit centers again. Parking is our bread and butter. Aviation services, and you can kind of see some of the areas that are being subsidized by those ones above there. The biggest one being the terminal, because we occupy the most space, and then the airfield as well. And this kind of shows where those numbers compare versus last year and then versus 2019. So you can see that CARES, and you can move that over a little bit so that, over that a little bit more. You can see that CARES for 2021 is still our #1 kind of profit center. That represented 61% of that $5.6 million. Thank you. The parking is #2 there, 2.7 roughly. But you can see that that number is an improvement over 2020, where almost 300%, 3 times our net income came from CARES. And then you can see that in 2019, we didn't have any CARES, and most of our profit came from parking and aviation services. Kind of shows kind of what I was talking about a little earlier. First quarter, this is operational income. First quarter was awful. I think I've said that enough times. It was dismal. That $68,000 that we had in our budget was looking very optimistic at that point. But since April, things have really improved. And actually, since April, we're actually doing better than we did in 2019. Overall, we ended up the year operationally not too bad, only maybe about 5% below where we were in 2019. And those numbers do exclude the CARES. And this is cash flow, a little bit different than my usual kind of big, small figures. You can kind of see the numbers there. And this is K's cash on hand. We're about $59,000 per day is what we need to run the operation. So if we didn't have any revenue, it's $59,000 per day. And that kind of tells you after reserves how many days we could go. So right now, at the end of 2021, we had 217 days cash, and we kind of go up and down, and we end up the year, at this point, we're estimating to be about 80 days cash on hand. That line there is kind of the board number of 60 days cash on hand that we try to maintain at all times. And at that point, I'll open it up if anybody has any questions.
Any questions for Todd? Okay, I do not hear any. Thank you, Todd. We'll ask for a motion to accept the treasurer's report as presented for November and December.
Your second?
Second.
Do we have a first?
Yes, I did. Glenn?
Okay, thanks. Okay, all in favor of accepting the treasurer's report as presented, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Any opposed? All right, we'll accept that treasurer's report. I'll step in for Frank here on the Finance Committee. There is one action coming out of the Finance Committee, and that is the approval of the BMO Harris reimbursement lease line of credit. Todd, you want to walk us through that real quickly?
Yes, this was the original $4 million line that we originally took to the board in June of 2017. We did an RFP for that, and this is just kind of continuing that through. We had needed a formal resolution to continue to move that forward because we didn't use all of those funds. The effective interest rate is a little bit more than 2%, and that is tax exempt. But the other thing that's been reviewed by counsel, our legal counsel from bond counsel for all the documents. And again, it's just an extension of what we already did. We have some stuff to kind of keep this going. One of the things we had to do during COVID is kind of get some extensions to keep that lease going. And we kind of ran to the point up against the wall where it's like, hey, we need a formal resolution to keep this going. So again, it's kind of built into our cash flow. It just gives us flexibility to pay for some of our capital items that we can put under the lease line, some of our equipment and machinery. Any questions?
Nothing for Todd? Pretty straightforward.
Yep.
I'd ask for a motion then to approve
So moved.
that line of credit. Yeah, go ahead.
Second.
Oh, was that your motion? Glenn's beating us for the punch here. We'll take a second.
Second. Second.
Thank you. All in favor of approving the line of credit, please say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the line of credit is approved. Finally, the ad hoc committee met and we reviewed acquisition. Ryan, I think you want to talk us through that one.
Sure. Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. So we went through this on the committee last Thursday. Really what we're looking for is to approve the acquisition of the Life Air equipment associated with the connector project. As we talked about in previous meetings and discussions, it was included in the design to be incorporated in the project. Again, it does meet LEED certification. As a reminder, the project itself is going for LEED Gold certification. Life Air Systems is a company that was actually formed or founded in Allentown, headquartered in Allentown back in 2012. Really what they provide is a system above and beyond just a traditional HEPA filter that has what they refer to as a kill section that renders any airborne pathogens basically non-infectious as it goes through the system. So we're looking to incorporate this into the checkpoint, obviously with all of our passengers going through the space, as well as the, for the safety for the TSA employees working there as well. Working through, we did, again, include it in the project and the design, but we took it out of the contractor scope and put it in the cooperative purchasing so that you get a reduced rate as well as the specifications that we really wanted. So the unit itself, with some of the installation by their personnel, is about $425,875. Some of the other components of the installation are already included under the 4 contractor scope that we currently have in place. Again, due to the timing of where we are in the schedule, we're looking to place the order basically later this month. Originally, the beginning of 2021, delivery and production was about 8 weeks. Right now, it's up to 14 weeks. So we obviously want to get that moving so we can get to that point when we're ready for installation. So we're looking for approval of the acquisition. You can see the model and contract number from CoStars to be implemented in the connector project.
Any questions for Ryan related to this equipment acquisition? Okay, I'd ask for a motion to approve the acquisition and installation of the very long model number for that Life Air system.
So moved.
Thank you, John. I'll take a second. This was like probably Glenn. All in favor of approving acquisition and installation of the system, please say aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Okay. Ryan, you have a piece of equipment. That concludes the business portion of our meeting. I'll turn it over to Tom now for a director's report.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair. Appreciate it. As Todd alluded to, traffic numbers for December were very strong. 68,000 people moving through the facility in the month, 146% increase from last December, which not a surprise, I suppose, but only about 5% less than December of 2019. So again, within a few percentage points of sort of the pre-pandemic numbers that we were seeing. taking a look at sort of the trends so far in January nationally, national passenger traffic is down about 22% versus January of 2019, again, pre-pandemic. Here at ABE, however, we're only down about 4% when we look at how our throughput is trending for January. So again, continues to be strong. Looking ahead at February, our airline seats are projected in the schedule to be up 9.5% versus February of 2019. So again, continuing to see more seats added back in the market. If we take a look at some of the occurrences since our last board meeting on November 30th, which seems like forever ago, December 4th through the 27th, we had our holiday festival of trees out here in the terminal, decorated by 13 schools, 3 nonprofit organizations, and even our Transportation Security Administration adopted a tree out there to decorate, so it was a really festive look. Sunday, December 5th, we had our very own Airport Authority Police Department hold their 5th annual Shop with a Cop event that benefited 14 families in the Catasauqua Area School District. Thursday, December 9th, we had a virtual meeting with our Aero Club members, again, our frequent flyer team, again, just to get feedback in the midst of the pandemic to understand what their thoughts are, what they're seeing, and certainly understand what their needs are going forward. Saturday, December 11th, North Pole charity event, scaled back a little from what we typically do, but again, working with United Way, that did benefit 30 families in our community, and we were happy to hold that event here in the terminal. December 20th, we had the Whitehall High School chorus in here in the terminal singing, and they did a wonderful job entertaining the passengers. And let's see, on January 22nd, just this weekend, we participated at Wonderland on Main Street down at the Promenade Shops, again representing the airport, and had a little table set up down there to pass out some information on the airport system. In terms of upcoming events, due to blood supply shortages, we're going to adopt the month of February to encourage our staff to donate blood. We won't be having an event on site. The staff is limited. We've been working with Miller Keystone for a number of years, but they don't have the staff to set up an event here. So we're going to be doing some drives to encourage our staff to go and donate. The February 21st through the 25th, we'll be holding a TSA pre-check event. We did, I think Colin sent out an email to the board on that, providing some information. Again, it's $85 for 5 years for that pre-check registration. On February 22nd, we will be participating in a career fair at Liberty High School, so over in Bethlehem. So that'll be a good opportunity to get in front of students and talk about aviation careers. And let's see, February 27th, we will be over at Wind Creek Events Center for the AAA Lehigh Valley Travel Expo. So we'll be participating in that one as well. And at this point, our mask mandate runs through March 18th. We'll certainly keep everyone updated if TSA extends that deadline. And that concludes the report that I had this morning. Mr. Chair, happy to answer any questions if there are any.
I have one.
Sure.
For the blood drive that you're doing with the staff here, what's the incentive, minus like saving somebody's life? Like what's the incentive for that person to go give blood if it's not going to be on site? You gonna let them do it during working hours if they have an appointment, or what's the incentive?
Yeah, so at this point we haven't kind of framed out the program, but I think we're just again pushing sort of the information we're getting from Miller Keystone that there's a real shortage in the area, to the point that they don't even have the staff to hold these blood drives on site anymore. So I think it's more of an awareness campaign. Mm-hmm. But at this point we don't have anything set in the program to offer opportunities for people to go during working hours.
Okay.
Good question.
Thanks, Justin. Real quick item before we get back to questions. I do know that we're joined by Robert Brooks, who is one of our newest board members. I'm going to hold off, given that we have limited attendance today. We don't have our full board, and we also don't have one of our other new board members. Robert, if you don't mind, we'll do like a more formal introduction at our January board meeting, or excuse me, our February board meeting. Unless that works.
That's fine. Thank you very much. I'm sorry for being late, and unfortunately, I'm going to have to pop off. I'm in Harrisburg, and we have something going on at 10 o'clock that I have to run up to. But I just wanted to get on here and listen and try and learn as much as I could.
Appreciate you joining us, and we'll do a more formal introduction in February. We'll see you soon, and travel safe.
Thank you.
Be well. Dawn had asked what the date of the pre-check registration is.
Yep, the TSA pre-check event, which will be here in the main terminal in the aviator room, runs from February 21st through February 25th, that Monday through Friday. And you can sign up at tsa.gov, and there should be information on our website as well if you're interested. You can sign up, make an appointment, and generally it's a pretty efficient process. So bring some documents, and you can get yourself registered.
Now, I know that in November, Hayes set a record for timing of these, of completing, I think we're past that record already, right? I think Hayes did it in like 26 minutes.
I'm sorry, I was on mute. Matt, I think it was 25, but who's quibbling over a minute?
Because the record's already behind us, I'll take a minute I just wanted to ask Tom on the job fair that y'all are doing at Liberty. Did Liberty High School reach out to the airport authority, or was that proactive on our part?
Yeah, so they did reach out. It's their fair that they're holding, and they're just because of some relationships that we have with the school, they've reached out to us to participate. We've worked with them in the past a number of times, so I think it was just based on that prior relationship.
That's obviously something I'd be interested in seeing that relationship blossom with the Allentown School District as well, if we can do those types of things. So whoever the coordinator is, let me know, and we can connect you to the right people at ASD as well.
Great. Yes, we've worked with Durham and other schools in Allentown, so yeah, happy to do that.
Great. Any other questions for Tom related to the director's report? Okay, thanks, Tom. Judge Freeberg, I think you have a solicitor's report for us.
Yes, good morning. It's time for the annual reminder about the Pennsylvania Statement of Financial Interest forms. Those forms are due by May 1, but I will be reminding you each month to make sure that everybody gets them in. They have to be filed by all board members who served during the past year, 2021. And that would include the two board members who we honored today. They're no longer on the board, but they have to file their reports for 2021 as well. The reports, statements of financial interest have to be returned to Sylvette, once again, no later than May 1. Any assistance that's required by anybody, sometimes problems come up where you're not clear how to report certain things or whether certain things have to be reported. There's information about that on the forms themselves, but to the extent that you need some assistance, please call me, contact me. I'll be available to provide you with assistance in answering those questions. There is a website available if you want to look at it to gain further information about it. It's www.ethics.pa.gov. So that provides you a copy of the form and also further explanation about the whole process. That is essentially what's involved here. I will be reminding you periodically at our board meetings to make sure that this gets done, and obviously we have a fair amount of time for that to get done. It's not a difficult process. Most of you have done it, and it's a fairly easy form to fill out. That is the extent of my report as to the financial interest matters. Mr. Chairman, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Do we have any new business? And I don't believe there's a need for an executive session, correct?
That is correct.
Excellent. So while it might not be a world record per Hayes, it is a personal best. We're out of here at 9:30. I think we're back to our regularly scheduled noon board meetings on February 22nd. Is that correct, Sylvette?
So we are still looking through that. Again, Mr. Chair, there's a challenge with the timing of committees as it relates to that and getting financials prepared. I know Todd's behind me sweating right now about the ability to get that done. So we can certainly circle back with the group. There's a potential to move those dates back so we have time to get the financials in front of committee and be able to act on them.
Okay, well, everybody stay tuned then. Anything else, obviously you'll hear from us. And I'll just ask for a motion to adjourn.
So move.
So move.
Thanks all.